So the number 9, page 9, overview of road network in South Sudan. Um, Roads in South Sudan are classified as national roads, which I have already explained. We have 10 category state roads, which link the state capital with counties. This is the responsibility of the governor or the state government. Then the third are rural roads or feeder roads, which are the local government responsibility. That is the road linking the county headquarters with Payam and Boomers. For now, all the roads lead to the Ministry of Roads and Bridges because we have said the resources need a lot of money, but if you pull all the 10 state budget, it may not give you one road. So that's why it remains with us, but that is a division of labor. You have and the states and boundaries because it was also restricted to functions of every section to pave a road. And wherever you stop, this is the end of your boundary or the border, which we have already inherited. Now we have planned to target 7,756 kilometers at the first phase of upgrade. Out of this, we have currently embarked on 1,242 kilometers. Is currently under construction. We will give the detail of roads we are working on. Most of the roads were rehabilitated during the conflicts of 2013, plus heavy rains have damaged the infrastructure, making them impossible at some sections. Because most of our roads are gravel and they need maintenance, periodic maintenance every year. So from October, we should start preparing our bulldozers. It's washed, so you need to be on road, along the road, always, especially with the heavy trucks. The government has planned to upgrade major railroads to bitumen standard through oil proceeds policy. Of course, after independence, we have waited until His Excellency the President of the Republic announced the policy in 2018 that we will start using our natural resources, that is oil proceeds, to build roads. That's why you see some movement. This is funded by the government of the Republic of South Sudan to fast-track the development of planned road projects. The government is inviting investors to invest in road infrastructure. Oil proceeds and other resources will be used as a collateral, because whatever we have will not be enough for us to build our roads because the cost is very high. And we have seen here in Juba, just alone if you see Gudela roads, these are 3 roads going parallel, because 6 lanes. Just minimally multiplied by 1 million USD per kilometer. It's very expensive. So the policy is to use the oil proceeds as a collateral, to attract investors. That is the ideal basic direction of the policy. But we will not wait until investors come. That's why we embark on opening those roads. Because we all know even the most producing countries of oil, they still use collateral to build their infrastructure. And for your information, Greater Unity production, or that is GIPOC, is allocated for infrastructure development. What comes as production is what we get from it. But of course, we have conflicting government priorities sometimes comes in. We have feeder roads. This the projects being implemented by the government with the help of partners. From 2011, the project was mostly concentrating in Western Equatoria and Central Equatoria. Then, as a national bilateral relations, we roll it to other states. Even Central, Eastern Equatoria by then was excluded because of communal violence. Greater Upper Nile was out of it, and even Greater Bahar Ghazal. But with the help of our partners, which includes EU, and I must ask all of us to give appreciation to EU. They are still committed. They have not abandoned South Sudan because of conflicts. And the bridge of Ajib or Kwajok is a great testimony of that, and they are still constructing road. In July, we went, I can see Peter Mitrozunwa, is a country director of UNO. There is a road from Kwajok up to Kangi, Kayango, linking Western Bahar Ghazal. We went with Governor Sarah on the road. It was very grateful to see that development, and we have launched some of the road to link Western Bahar Ghazal to Northern Bahar Ghazal, and the same with Warab. So, UNO, congratulations, and also WFP, our implementers. This is a project we are co-sharing with my colleague, the Minister, National Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Josephine. And we are now reviving the cluster, which combines the government, the donors, and the implementers. So there are criteria because we coordinate and then we benefit. So there are criteria. One of them, security, is one of the conditions. Number two, it must connect the area of production, productivity, with markets. It's not a charity. Unless you produce and you want to be connected, this is where you benefit. So this is just a tip for you as governors to encourage our local farmers to come up with production, because they will go and assess. We don't direct them; they go and see for themselves, and they decide. The third condition, that the length should not be more than 50, but sometimes they can go up to 100 if they are convinced that there is need to link that area with the markets. The last, it shouldn't pass major rivers because of bridges, the cost of bridge, of course. We have other type of roads, urban roads. And all the urban roads in the capital cities are pledges made by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, during the CPA celebration, whether in Juba, in Yambio, in Torit, in Wau, in Bentiu, in Malakal, the rest of the town. Those pledges, we are still keeping them. We have not thrown them away. But we will try to implement them in a different form. For example, we are now in Juba, almost reaching 100 kilometers. And I must thank Governor Adil for the great cooperation, because we have reached at a certain point of saying to myself as a minister, if I can roll these roads like carpet and then overnight, and then in the morning we go back to 207. Because coming from Gudela, I remember where the University of Juba, it was a nightmare. From Muniki with that core, and back to Nas. But now you can just run with the help of Jaiga also, with bridges. You can 5 minutes. So thank you for the cooperation and what is being implemented by the mayor and the commissioner of Juba was that agreed program between the national government, because the ownership is going to the state in the end. I'm not yet disclosing, the budget is still on the process, but we are planning to move to WOW. And Governor Sarah, I heard you were talking of ARC in WOW. ARC is just an implementer. The thanks should come to the national government, because in the end they will have a bill to be covered. We have directed them to start Mangmangada grading of the roads. So we are moving to WOW, to Awil and Malakal. The rest of cities will be covered through the contract. If we are moving to Torit now, it will be covered within the arrangements of the road. The same with Yambio, the same with Bor, we have already started. And I think the acting governor here can testify. And we also testified on morning or our food components have changed from meat to others. To fish is coming from Terkeka and Bor because the road is. So we will be moving, as you can see on the paper here, Rumbek is part of the Juba-Rumbek Road. The same with Kwajok, Bantu, Torid, Yambio, and the 3 administrative areas, because they all fall along the highways. We are not forgetting you, but we cannot talk of urban road without connecting you to, as I can recall the question of Deputy Governor of Unity State. Nobody neglected, but we are beginning from Juba. And as we are all aware of the difficulties, as I have mentioned, the funding is a problem, but you will see from the map that every corner in South Sudan is captured. And as the national government, as you've seen from my colleagues presenting, we put the map of South Sudan and then we place our services to every corner. You have seen in education and the rest of services. So now we have planned roads, what we call N1, that is National Road number 1, from Nimuli all the way through Juba, Bor, Ayod, Malakal, Malut, and up to the border with Sudan. We have the link from Nimuli was built almost 200 kilometers. The asphalt, but that is not a hot mix asphalt. That's the different cost of fuel, because people were confusing why the cost of Nimuli Road is less and you are making road in Juba expensive. It is part of corruption. That's not. That one is a coal mix built for low volume roads, small cars, rural roads. When we develop, you'll get that kind of roads for your movement. It will not be gravel. But highways is a hot mix. So the cost is different. You have the asphalt, but that one is just chemicals and mixing, and then you compact. And that's why the road, so it is not our standard, but we got it as a grant Like you have seen, the Freedom Beach is just at the end of navigation. When we have our own, you will have the best design you will have. So this is the first. You have N2, the border with Kenya, key base. Am I right, Governor? Key base or the border? Okay. Okay. Because I'm skeptic about using a name. Otherwise, I will give out part of my territory. Anyway, from the border with Kenya through Kakweta to reach Juba, the first alignment was going through Mundri, Mkolo, Rumbek, Tony, Wow, Kwajok, Kogrial, up to Awil, up to Abiy, sorry. Up to Abiy. That is N2. That is from the border with Kenya to Sudan. From Uganda to Sudan. Another road, that is what we are starting from Juba, that is A65. Actually start from Kajukeji through Juba, going Terkeka, Yerul, going to Rumbek again, and then branch to Paper, Mayandit, Bentiu, carrying up to Jau. That is a combination of A65 and A35. 35 from Rumbek to Bentiu, but it goes 65 from Kajukeji, Juba, all the way to Rumbek. We have Mundri, Juba Mundri, because we have another alignment from Juba Rokon, and it goes again Italy to. So it is actually Juba Mundri, Melidi, Yambio, Tambora, Wow, Awil, up to the border with Sudan. Then we have another one from Jiko Nasser Malakal, Bentiu, Mayam Bimna Mujakwai Jaweng, Turale, Murak, Gogrial, Awil, Raja, and goes to Port Medina, Kabir Kajik, to connect Ethiopia with Central Africa, so that we will serve the western part of the country, maybe from Douala, from Cameroon, like Chad, part of Sudan, northern Sudan. So in total, we are estimating about 6,040 kilometers, with a cost of 8.4 billion. We have other A roads, that is Pagag Maiwut Matiang, Koloch, up to Malut, that is connecting to the oil field, and with a plan of a bridge, as you can see among the bridges, it will be also one of the end roads to connect across Malut to the western part of northern Upper Nile. As mentioned, Yale, Kajukeji, Juba, and also we have, that is A65, Pagag is A10, Bor Pibor, Pashala is A60, then Kakweta, Bumarat, A85, and Rokon Kadiba to Ramshel Chambe, Afuler is A50. Ayod is on Malakal. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Ayod Wada Kobo. Yes. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, A30. So you can see in Jongule, you have A30 Ayut. You have also the one branching from Bor to P4, and you have A85 from Buma to the border to Peshala, up to Koba again. The last one is actually Juba, Rokon, Kadiba, Tale, Shambe, up to Lair. These are the target roads for upgrading, but the rest which are not mentioned here, I have the budget book. You will find we are also there to connect people through gravel. Of course, the cost is very high. It may not be possible, but we are starting to connect people, as you can see from here to read now or up to the border is accessible with some difficulties of bridges. I saw the governor, I think in 2020, it's not the same again now. It's very little better. And one of our uncles came from Toris in January last year. He was dancing in custom. Can we get that with Kanamayat? He sold them, and then he was told, let's go back. When? Tell Toris. Because the same with board now. This is what we are applying. We will not asphalt the whole country once for all, but we will have connection. The bridges, now Freedom Bridge in Juba and the old bridge, to facilitate movement. And we have already started construction in Wow with the permission of His Excellency, because most of our projects now, they have not been launched, but we have taken the permission from His Excellency the President. That's why you see Luri is almost finishing, and we have not celebrated. Just to bridge the gap between our public. So we want to bring the reality to our people. It's the same. Bo Road is not launched. The bridge of Wow is not launched up to now. So this is part of a strategy from the Ministry of Roads and Infrastructure sector to bring the confidence to our people. So we have Malakal Bridge. The studies are underway, and I think Governor Udak, we sent a team twice, and we are still working on it for the bridge of Malakal. The one of Sobat is part of the road. And then Pariak, it's south of Bor, Bentiu, Bogreal, Nasser, Malut, and Juba again. We have factors, always people talk of expensive roads, why it is expensive. But I will assure you that what you have been hearing from the region, one of our neighboring countries, the president was annoyed with the quality of roads. So he asked one of the contractors to tell the truth. The contractor asked for protection. Like my colleague was talking of protection, the Minister of Education. The president was investigating of that country, was saying why the road are built this year, next year potholes, asphalt road. The contractor says, Your Excellency, yes, I will tell you the truth, but I want protection. It is that one layer, one engineers will be helped by His Excellency, as a professional engineer. There are layers. You compact, and then you put the black top. The contractor of that country said, the problem, 2 layers are missing. One, Wazir Shalo. The other layer, the undersecretary.
Sure.
Well, Bagida, bigger haja mang shoye. That is the history from our region. Kalo road malubaga dayi kada. All the supervisors, they just cut the shoulders. And that is why I raised out Abela Dagal Palace. It's just a contract between me and you. I will give you enough money and you build a standard. He did. And that country now is changing from Mangmangabeta. Thank God we are not there. We'll try our best to serve our nation as we have. So there are factors and there are many. Maybe some of you may add on. So we have why the roads are expensive or the cost is very high. We have the construction material. Because it's not just any material used for road construction. There are specific classified maram or the rest or sand or whatever, cement, bitumen, all in all, they are imported from outside. And we are using the best quality of bitumen, the Iranian type. I hope we will not be put in sanctions. Anyway, we are getting from the market. I hope I'm not disclosing what we are doing. We want the best one because there are many of them. You have the terrain and the soil. You can have equatorial region is mountainous. As you are moving from Juba to Bor, and again, let me thank the governor, Adil, and the communities of Bilyang. Yesterday you heard from him. They have allowed the mountain to be used to be ferry from Juba up to Rang, whether by river or by road. Anyway, it is there. So we have crashes working day and night now too. And we have the asphalt plant in Mangala, and all the way will be serving the road in this eastern side of the river. So the cost of road in Equatoria differs from Upper Nile and from Bahar Ghazal. As you go along, the costs multiply, especially we are in the valley. The highlands of Congo, water is coming down, the highlands of Ethiopia, the Great Lakes. And as we are now crying the contradiction, we are in a valley, and the people of valley are the most civilized and richest people, but still we cry we are hungry. These are part of our contradiction. We are crying water too much. Now in 2 months' time, we will start quarreling over water. Anyway, the other challenge is climatic changes. As you can see, there's almost reached eastern Equatoria. Northern Kenya is dry now. Cattle are dying and in numbers. You have also geographical location. You have long hauling distance. Long distance of ferrying the material. You take the aggregate from Juba up to Malakal. Arabia belief, Rasul Shamish, Teglif Daharo. These are all costs of this calculated. The last, there are many, of course, more than this. Importation of major construction material, whether cement or bitumen or iron bar or the rest. Coming to the ongoing projects, you have Juba, the Rekeka Yerol Rumbek is about.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. You have 390. You have Juba Bor Malakal, over 1,000 kilometers. Juba Torit Kabueta Nadapal. You have also Juba Lanya Ye Morobo Kaya, an urban road, Juba Mundri, Juba Numuli. Of course, for Juba Ye Kaya, the contract was signed since 2019 in June, but it has started just in a low volume because of funding. It was signed with an Egyptian investor, but they failed to get the And as you have heard, that the national government have decided to cancel that contract, and we will so 20,000 barrels pledges in the budget now to cover that section up to Kaya, and also the road of Kajukai Juba, and from Rumbek to going all the way to Wow. The ongoing bridges, you have Freedom Bridge in Juba, Yu River in Wow, and Luri Bridge, plus the maintenance of the old bridge. The bridge was almost on the verge of collapse. It's going to be open next week for the traffic. The overloading of the last economic importance of the roads. Why are we doing increased productivity, regional integration, investment acceleration? The last challenges. Why the roads are not moving quickly, as I mentioned, the cost is very high. So lack of funding and financing road projects. We have acquisition of construction material, and this is for the governors. We need to talk to our communities so that the government contribution comes from the material. But we will not forget the corporate responsibility. That it shouldn't be beyond the contract, because otherwise it will consume the, and this is clear with Juba Terkeka Road up to, but we are solving it. We have issues of insecurity, we have issues of high flow, we have lack of equipment, which we are now trying to solve for the states to have a branch of road authority with equipment so that you do the state road in low cost, plus the rural roads. We are working on the modality. It will not be the same like what used to go to physical infrastructure. It will be managed like a company. A road authority will be based at this. You will make your budget, and then we will come with a low cost to help, because our partners, they will not be there always. They will move like the rest. They have moved to education and health. They were first in the road sector. Issues of consultancy and the rest. So, Your Excellency, this is the presentation. Before I leave the podium, yes. The maps, yeah. I will concentrate on one map, and I apologize for another map. This map, of course, it was the old one. It's not official, but there were counties and capital of the state. My people were developing the document, but because of time factor, we couldn't replace them. But you can see what I want you to capture is what I've mentioned about N1 and N2. Please go ahead. It's being played. Yes, N1, N2. That is N3. We are trying to develop up from Ethiopia to the border with Central Africa through Raya, so that you can use both instead of one port, as you have seen a few months ago. Our truck drivers from the region made it difficult for us, even to the level of infringing on our sovereignty. So you need to have many access. So the port of Douala in Cameroon can be accessible for us with Port Sudan, with Djibouti, with Mombasa. So when you have access, nobody will try to put you in difficulties. So you can see the movement. You have the western part of the river. A60 is there, A30 up to Akobo, and also A20 from Jika Nasser all the way. And then we have from Pagak, A10 is up there. So this is the western part of the river, eastern part. And then, of course, this is what we are trying to move on the foots of the commanders. So that's why we were saying this is bright star on this side. ODN will be somewhere, and Thunderbolt OTB will be moving very soon. This is from the archive of our history. I think I have covered when I was explaining. These are the priorities now. We are not neglecting, but we are connecting the capitals of the states with Juba. And I hope there's no capital left out. And the counties which are fortunate to be along the highway, so they will benefit. So the counties is Juba, we will try our best with the state government, the local. يعني ما بيجي من فوق، start from the local. لأن الشارع يا جماعة زمان ما كان بيجوا بجوبا، الشارع كان بيبدأ من يي، ناس جاي بوصلوا للانيا, and it goes. So I think I have explained. This is the official map. I've taken my colleague, Honorable Michael McQuaid. I couldn't have I have electronic official there, soft copy with the Kharita. You will get that. I can. This is Jamaat Moya Al Jail in Sudan. It affects also the construction of roads. لكن برضه في benefit مويه كثير. شوف زي جسم زول. You can see ده شرايين في جسم زول. ده جنة كبير واحنا لسه ما شفناه كويس. ما في بلد ثاني نشيل مويه بيدك كده تشرب. إلا في النيل إلا قبل ما نلحق قبل ما نوصف يعني. أفتكر باقي صور بتاع the topographic map. The maps were صور عشان نوفر الزمن. Your Excellency, أيوة في invitation from my chair of the cluster, the Vice President, the governors, deputy governors, the chief administrators. You are invited to visit Freedom Bridge. وإن شاء الله يكون مع الزمن ده يكون the outgoing outbound lane ينتهي الأسبوع الجاي ويكون will be decided will be given writing like what you did on Big Road, on Moore Road, with your visit when you came for a conference. Your Excellency, indeed, I just sit there and hold 1 minute. Allow me to add my voice. The Kalam Al-Kangalo, Governor of Western Equatoria, Alfred, on Commander-in-Chiefs. Because first, let me appreciate His Excellency, the President of the Republic, for initiating this and reinstating the Governors Forum. And in 2014, this is a good forum. The Riasa, one of our partners are here helping. أنا نوصي إنه من توصيات اللي هيعملوا خليه يكون مرتين في سنة. حتى ولو بالبجت بتاعنا بيشوفوا ده حاجة ساكت ناس قاعدين لكن ده شغل كبير. Should be twice a year. بعد ما يجيزوا ميزانية هسه لو كنا restricted لشهر 6 شهر 7 هسه بيكون لنا good picture where are we moving. And then شهر 4 عشان نبني البلاننج الجديد. فده بكون كويس عشان share experience. أنا متأكد الحضور they are benefited من كلام بتاع الناس. أي زول كان جاب راسه تقيل بمشاكل هسه بيخف بيقول أنا ما أنا براي كلنا ماشيين سوا. فكده let's recommend إنه يكون twice a year. ده بالنسبة للفانكشن. كلام بتاع Governor ألفريد about Commander in Chief. طبعا ده جزء مهم عشان نجي نقعد سوا كحكومة واحد نتكلم لغة واحد. يا جماعة حكومة تأمن. This is the first function بتاع حكومة. سواء حتى في بيت حكومة فيه. So this is security. ده رسالة ل First Vice President, and I remember لما أنت جيت, I congratulate you for taking the decision to come to implement peace. وده صورة كويس ما في عسكري تاني من حتة تاني قاعد عشان يحميك. I think it was a personal and a leadership. Also رئيس بتاعنا كمان مسك معاك سلام. So I think these three commander in chief ما نقعد في محل بتاعينه سلاح ما في. وانا سعيد اقول انت كنت واحد من الكوماندرات رسلهم ليبيا عشان يفتشوا سلاح. في اثيوبيا كان في كم بندقية زمن ذاك. فنحن موضوع بتاع سلاح يا جماعة ما نقعد ما في زول بيجيب لك سلاح. You are under sanction. السانكشن ده هيقعد كتير. لأن ده عملوه طرق كده بس. We are in a world governed by interest, intimidation and bullying. ده هو عالم احنا قاعدين فوقه. فكده نعمل resource mobilization. أنا متأكد أهلنا الماسكين سلاح ده لو غنينا لهم حاجة بتاع وطنية هتلقوا سلاح ده بيسلموه. حتى القوات النظامية في قوات زي مطافي لو عنده سلاح، سجون لو عنده سلاح خليه يخرجوا الجنود ديل.
شكرا. We share the sentiment.
شكرا. شكرا. شكرا كثير.
شكرا جزيلا. لا اخوانا وزير مصادر المياه وموارد المائية موجود؟ ها؟ هذا should be around. ها؟ ها؟ وما خلى زول ورا؟ إنه كنا عايزين يقدم بعد roads because
airport to receive them, but
Okay.
he said he is coming. But in
Okay.
the meantime, we have the environment here, which also goes with the road.
environment حقهم short.
Yeah,
environment win.
we gave you this document. This is this, the one we gave you.
humanitarian guide.
Humanitarian, yes.
اللي humanitarian يقدم وبعده environment والوقت ده water resources بكون جه. Because I want you to discuss the roads together with water resources and irrigation. في connection كده شوية. Yes, Peter. تفضل. Well, in the meanwhile, when Peter Mayan is coming, I was told I should retrieve the map. There is no reason for retrieving the map. The map is correct. And if it is towards a bay, in our map, a bay is like in that position. But in the map that has been floating, done by Sudan, you see the gray areas. The gray areas are part of Sudan, and the what is it? The Nafs are parts of Sudan. And if you cover that, if you take that out, you'll see a bay protruding out in it. So this map is correct. Yes, humanitarian, can you start, please?
Thank you, Your Excellency, the first Vice President of the Republic of South Sudan, Vice Presidents, Ministers, Governors, State Ministers, and the rest of the protocol remains observed, including the Secretariat. For sure, I would say my presentation was meant to be yesterday, but given the fact that I have to present today, we always say it when it comes to humanitarian issues, they can't wait. So we're ready just to give you the presentations. Usually, when you hear about the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and the humanitarian situations, which I am to present in today, what comes to your mind is the impact of flood, what comes to your mind is the emergency response and the situations of the IDPs and refugees. But allow me just to tell you a little bit about the missions of this ministry. The mission is to basically all communities, the missions basically is all communities to be able to be resilient, to manage hazards and face the hazard they face in terms of response of disaster and reduce the impact. So basically, I want you to know that just to address the issues related to humanitarians, but basically we are there to address the humanitarian issues with a view towards resilience and reduce the disasters that you face in your daily life. And this comes to the mission that we need to, our mission is to formulate and implement disaster risk management policies, laws, programs, coordinate disaster management assistance. So basically, there are three things that move together in a hand: disaster risk management and also humanitarian assistance. So we're just not there to assist and becomes routine as the ministry has its own missions, but basically it's there to reduce those disasters and find a permanent solutions to those disasters. If not a permanent solution, we hoped for a durable solutions. And how we do this, basically the ministry is not the implementing agents. We have the commissions, that is the SRC, which is the implementing agents, but the ministry basically does work on the policies, laws, and programs and coordinate disaster risk management. So that's why this governance is very important today, so that we could be able to address together how best we could be able to manage the disaster reductions within your states and discuss other issues on governance also. In this way, we're talking about all level of government, and basically the national government, that where the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management is extremely important, and in the state levels where you and the local government is absolutely important. Of course, most of you are eager, you want to know more about the humanitarian updates, and absolutely, though I haven't been engaging with you in the few days, but of course, I do believe every governor here is concerned of my work. He has the biggest concern of my work because of the national disasters that you have in your states, and also given your mandate. Well, take it clearly, 1.6 million IDPs in South Sudan, 2.2 million refugees in the neighboring countries, 380,000 South Sudanese that have returned, simultaneous return, 7.5 million, they need food insecure, and over 1 million people have been affected by flood of 2021. 1.3 children need proper nutrition, they need food. Well, yes, we have all the states are affected, and this is basically if you're not affected, either your area is not affected by floods, or of course your area may happen to be affected with refugees. Your area is also affected in terms of children that need feeding, nutrition, and also basically. So, in generally, in our populations, we actually estimate that nearly, we disagree on the figures between us and the humanitarian situations, but we do believe that nearly half of this country is in need of humanitarian assistance. Because of the floods we've been going through, when you hear about humanitarian assistance, you think about flood. No, it's not about flood. When you hear about humanitarian, you think about refugees and IDPs. No. So it varies from one place to the other. In simple answer is that whatever that affects humanitarian capacity in able to live as a decent life as a human being is labeled as. I'm one of those who are affected anyway, and I hope some of you are affected despite the fact that I'm a minister. Quickly, let me move you to what you expect to hear from me. And what the country expects to hear from me is, of course, what faced you at hand and what has been facing you from the last year, this year, and also what we all know is the devastated flood that has affected South Sudanese. And that's why I have visited many of your states, exception of Lake states, and my apology is the fact that every time we try to coordinate, it wasn't be there, but I promise this very important forum that the ministry is going to visit Lake State. So out of all the 10 states, we have visited those states, particularly the counties that are affected by the floods. Of course, what we have seen from there and what we have at hand, that the flood has affected greatly the livelihood of the normal citizens, and only even the state infrastructure has been affected. We have seen that in unity states. And when we have gone far more to rural areas, the places we've visited in Panyikar, the places we've visited in Twitch, in Warap, and also in other places, we have also seen that crops and livelihood or livestock has been affected badly. So generally, I do believe that one of your major concerns is the devastated flood that has affected various states, particularly in those areas. Of course, what I have also witnessed, it has reduced the local government capacity and ability to perform its government. The appeal has been made, and I have met many who have. Many have lost their lives. The figure may be disputed, but of course doesn't matter what the figure is. What matters when a South Sudanese single individual loses life means a lot to us as the government of Republic of South Sudan, particularly government that want peace and sees the prosperity of South Sudanese. We had cases of a snake bite in most of the states, and of course some of us when we were in the field we saw it live. We have seen those snake bites, and we also have seen the outbreak of waterborne diseases that it happens. You can name it whatever it is, but we also we have seen an increase of malaria and other diseases that came as a result of floods. Of course, this has led to the displacements of many communities moving from place to the other. And as I speak, if we do not do a proper interventions, certain communities and villages will definitely be wiped out because of this year flood. Of course, I have never seen this year, I've never seen this kind of floods. I've heard from those who lived before me that it goes back to 1962, 63. But what I have witnessed in the field is extremely devastated. It's important to notice it's not just a question of displacements alone, but also it's about the future of the people, because basically like this, it's good that the Minister of Livestock is here. We have lost a number of livestock, because as many knows that all the areas that lived alongside the River Niles definitely are affected. I wish also, and you will hear from my colleague, the Minister of Water Resources, he will be able to explain to you actually the cause and the root causes of this flood. But what matters to me, how does it affect the human life? All the communities that live alongside the River Nile has been affected, and also the heavy rains, the climate change actually has affected this. So basically, the biggest questions would be, I would appeal to this forum, is how do we address the issue between mitigations, adaptations and mitigations? Of course, we will strive very much to mitigate the impact of floods on the livelihood of the people, but the questions of it also should be addressed about the mitigations of the floods. Because, of course, South Sudan has just participated in a very important forum, which is the climate change. And of course, I also just came from Nairobi, where I participated in the United Nations on disaster risk reductions forum. And I had actually made a case to South Sudan. And I will be pleased to announce to you that there's a commitment from the United Nations represented on the special representative for disaster risk reductions that South Sudan's will be put on the top priority. This is given the fact that we, of course, the flood is everywhere, the climate change is everywhere. We have floods in Canada, but we do not have the technical know-how, the expertise, the needed resources, and of course, the needed infrastructure to address our disasters. And allow me just to quickly go over this. This is the figures doesn't matter. What matters here, I may read for you figures, and I know every governor wants to make a case, but already the fact that the government of the Republic of South Sudan has declared the flood as a national disaster, that guarantees UN services and the impact that the mitigations or the response that we are making. Jungle, of course, in next 2 weeks, we are going to have a new figures coming up. Jungle, you have 278,000. Upper Nile, 265. Unity, 208,000. Warab State, 120. Northern Bahr el Ghazal, 65,000. Lake State, Western Bahr el Ghazal, 10 states. Central Equatoria, 10 states. And then that brings us to the total of 1 million and about 800 estimated to be affected by floods. But when these figures shouldn't cause an issue, what's important that we all know our setting. Majority, almost, I don't know, but most of the populations lived alongside the River Nile or at the lowland. So all areas that are lowland has been affected. In Central Equatoria here, many don't believe that they have been affected by flood, but they have been also been affected by flood. We have seen in places such as in Western Equatoria, in Ibe country, where we have water coming down. Of course, that goes back to the climate change. And of course, this has to come and the issue, how best the Ministry of Water Resources will do in terms of water management and actually help in mitigating the flood. But what is my concern? My concern is basically the impact that it has created on the daily life of your fellow citizens, or fellow citizens generally, on this. What the ministry have done basically is, I will come to back later. Let me just come again, since I'm not just talking about flood alone. Allow me just to come into the issue of displacement. When the figures that I have just told you about the people that have been displaced, they are not only displaced by floods, we also have people that have been displaced as a result of a communal violence. And this brings us to the issue of Tumbura, which of course my ministry has had with a high level from the ministry and other relevant ministries, including the legislations who are part of those who have visited Yambio. The situations of Tumbura, of course, has led to displacement of 69,000 people that has been displaced. This has nothing to do with the flood. This has to do with man-made disasters, communal conflict. For whatever reason, I'm a humanitarian, if it is political, if it is communal. But what I know, there are men, women, children that are out there needs assistance. And I want to just underscore the fact that those displaced, whether you're displaced by flood, communal violence, or humanitarian interventions, requires equal approach. And at the same time, the humanitarian needs require the same thing. You left your home, you're with kids, children, basically, We still need shelter, food, water in order to continue living. And of course, that have to do, I will come back later to discuss the role of your government as a state government to address the both aspects, the aspect of those who have been displaced by flood, the aspect those who have been displaced because of communal violence, and other humanitarian need that is required. I know the biggest question is what the government have done. What has the government of the Republic of South Sudan have done? What has the Ministry of Humanitarian have done? We can't just every time talk about floods, we haul and all this. What we have done basically, we have done a rapid assessments that has been coordinated. Some of it has been done by the government itself. Some of them were done in coordination with the partners. And I think apart from Lagos State alone, I sometimes try to be extremely very much honest with myself. No governor among you will claim that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs did not step a foot into his state. I had been there for all of you. And for this, we have done this rapid assessment. And with the rapid assessments, what we have seen to ourselves is extremely a very dire humanitarian situation, a real disaster, and those which has caused by flood, and also those has been caused by man-made disasters, communal violence. The government recently has approved $10 million as an interventions, and this is basically a quick interventions. And along when it approved this money, the $10 million is basically has also formed an ad hoc committee of the ministers and of the ministries so that they could also conduct a rapid assessment and then again get back to the Council of Ministers in order to inform them of what is needed, given the magnitude of the impact of those who have been affected. But the 10 million is basically for relief and food items to rescue, and far more importantly, the issue of evacuations of those communities. I also want to bring to your notice, in certain counties, we have in Jungule, we really needed to rush quickly to evacuate people from there. And I want to take this forum to thank those companies that has actually, even though they have not yet been paid by the government today, they were able to evacuate a number of the people to move to the highest land. So this was basically what we have done. But of course, we have a comprehensive programs, not that will only address issues related to floods, but that will help to reduce the humanitarian capacity, the humanitarian disaster that we have, and beyond that. Of course, we're working closely with the Ministry of Water Resources, particularly to support the dike constructions, the community initiative based on resilience programs that they have in order to keep certain place as a dry land area. I remember when I went to Unity State, basically, it was very hard. Of course, the dikes that were constructed by the states and the community helped to protect the state's government to continue functions. We have seen also the similar and very worst devastated situation in certain states. In a will is similar, the same, and of course, my ministry do believe that what differs is the level of the impact from one state to the other. Otherwise, the flood has affected all, and that's why we have over 59 companies that have been contracted in order to provide initial relief services to those affected areas. Generally, to address the issue of humanitarians, of course, during the forums, beginning with the speech from the RGMIC and the rest, with support from IGAT, the UNHCR, of course, we have developed national funding that is for durable solutions for the internally displaced persons, refugees, returnees, and including the host community that has that's been involved. And this program will soon be tabled to the Council of Ministers for approval. And we have done this, and of course, the durable solution for refugees and internally displaced persons, it has moved to another step. It's just not just going to address the issue of refugees, the South Sudanese refugees, but actually it's moving toward being adapted as a regional programs. Because basically, when it comes to humanitarian issues, we have a similar issues, similar disasters within the regions. Of course, we all know the status of the region currently, and there's no country that will say that I do not longer have refugees from one or the other area. So these durable solutions hopefully will address the regional issues on displacements, and also will soon also bring a dignified return to all the refugees within South Sudan and within the region at large. Chair, the first Vice President, allow me to quickly give you a recap what we have done in regard to the agreements as the implementations of Chapter 3. Implementations of Chapter 3, the greatest milestones which is there, we have basically worked on the durable solution for return. And at the same time, the ministry have developed an effort to try the best they can in order to ensure that there's a free access to humanitarian workers and also free environments, which also I will later come back to it to discuss more for the governors, because they are the people on the grounds, they are the people that deal with the humanitarian workers, they are the people that deal with the state issues and local government issues. Of course, I will come back to that. But I wanted just to state it very clearly that, of course, many of you know, those who are familiar with the agreements, that, of course, the establishment of the Special Reconstruction Fund remains as a very important factor and milestone, just as equal as to the implementation of security arrangements and other governance instructions in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Of course, from the first time we took the office, or I took the office, of course, I took the office with pandemic disasters. One of them, of course, is COVID-19. And also, given the fact that many of the governance instructions were not in place, even the governors, you were not in office by then, and that what has delayed the implementation of the Special Reconstruction Fund. Far important, the good news is that the five ministers and 5 ministries, and Minister of Agriculture, I hope she's here. Of course, all of us, we had agreed to expedite this process and basically to ensure that the Special Reconstruction board is formed and becomes operationalized. It helps a lot, and it's basically, it will address the issues to do with return. It will also address the issues to do with the flood that we have faced, COVID-19, and also the other humanitarian issues that we have faced remains as a major issue with this. I would ask this forum and also everyone to appeal that, of course, we need to expedite this. There's a lot of commitment from IGAT, and there's a lot of commitment from the government and the partners, and all, of course, the donors, and everybody who was expected to be part of the special.
Okay, guys, we have a network issues over there, so we'll be back. Just bear with me. Again, guys, just keep sharing the video. The network in Juba there is slowed down. So that's why if the network is back on, we'll bring it on. Just bear with me for a second.
lo makiri yang yang malo nu le ban kuma kunyin yura go kur nyana ya oga ma nyar ben panjen jadi gali ya ma jong por ko ma gan kuma ni yur ban yo kon man wo ai kwe wi ta nger kun ma nyam man ma ku ngara gol ko kur ko na ko bir jidel mo ben ko no mor ma tun ma ta tingia oj mor de ko nyol ni ko je mo ben ma tung bol jalu kin ko ya yo ko da lu ma u ral je tera nyuri ko ni ma me u ga lo yo ko du rom ni ko ja ya to ye du me jok de ga ma jula de ngo ga ko ni yar ba ga ya ku kal ja kan na to kun go tin no mo ya ru ya malem ma jula de dan ni no kan ma ya dong man dal ko ko ni ya ka ga tim lo oi man kai ya ken ko ti de kin gar ma ko kira dia de tin to kam dan ko ja ga ya oi ma oi uda ko ko do ma ku jon ma la na jon na ko ma ku ya ko ken ma jung to ga ya nyara dol ko oi ma ko ma je ya re dol ji o ji ga ya lu rien ni mo ba pinya ko ga jeng pun ko pi no ngai ta ya wel ma dol wala ma mu mo ko ma joga ku ma ni ko lo mi jang ko we oi lo ma kiri yang ma lo wa nu le ben ku ma ku yin mu yura ko ku na na ya ko ga ma ri nyar ku ben ben yen ya ni ga li ya ma jong ma ko ma gan ku ma ni yura ben oi kon man ko ai we wi ta la nger kun ma nyang man ma ku ngara ko ku ko na ko yiri ni de mo ben kon no mor ma don ma ta ding ya oi mor de ko nyol ni ko ya mo ben ma tung bol oi ba ku ko ko na u ya ga ni ba ku na ma ga yo yara do yi jiru ku de ma jong ya mo ben ku wel ko ma ga ni wo wel ko ton bol ma jong ga wan ma o ni mor me dal ma jo ne na ku yor ko jong mo na du bal da nur yo wo ji mor wala ga min ma jor ku yo jur garam bur ju ga jar ban jo ran ko ba ke jar ba jor ka je yan ku ba nan ko lu ma ko de bin ko jor wala na je ku ga ge jam ru ko ba yo ko bin de la ku non ko mu ki man na ba ni non ko man wal ma ko wa di yo yen ta we de bi ko jor bi nya ko ga je mun ko bin no ga ta ya wel ma dol wala ma mur mo ko ma yo ga ku ba ni ku lo mi jang ko wel oi lo ma kiri yang ma lo wa nu le ben ku ma ku nyen ma yura ko ku nya na ya ko ga ma ri nyar ku ben ba yen ya ye ga li ya ma jong ko ko ma ga ma ni bi ko ba ni oi kon man ko ai we wi ta la nger kun ma nyang man ma ku ngara ko ko to na ko bir ni de mo ben ko na mor ma ton ma ta king ya oi mor de ko nyol lan ki ko je mo ben ma tung bol jalu kin ko ya yo ko ran lu ma u ral ya tera yuri ko ni ma ga lo yo ko rom ni ko ja ya to ni to mi jo de ga ma ju la de ngo ga ko ni ngal ma ga ya ga ja gran da to kun go tin no mo ya ru ya malem mi jur la de dan ni no kar mariya dong man dal ko ko ya ga ga tin lo oi man kai ya ken ko ti de kin gar ma ko bu tira de ga yin yin to gam de no ton ja ga ya wo ji ma ko wo ja ko ko do ma ku jon mo na na jon nal kon ma ku ya mo ken mi jum to wa ya ra dol ko wa mo gor ma kon ma je ya re dol ji wo ji ga ya lu ye ni mo ku ba mi ya ko je mo ku mi no ga ta ya wel ma dol wala ma mu mo ko ma joga ku ba ni ku lo mi jang ko wel oi lo mo kiri yang ma lo nu le ben ku ma ku yin mi ra ko ku nya na le oga magi yar ber panyen den ye gali jam yong bol ko magan manyi ko banyo ton man ko ay be jala ger kun manyang man ma ku ngara ko ko na ku bir nyede mo ber kon no mor ma ton ma ta dinga ay mor de ko mor lan ti ko jam kun ma tungol.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I think they went on break. So in Juba there, so I think so when they coming back, we'll bring it alive. So now I'm gonna go and end the show. Thank you for watching. If we go back, if they came back over there in Juba and the network is good, next day will come back and live and then cover that event. Thank you guys for watching. This is the 4th day for the governor conference in Juba. There will be tomorrow is the last day for the conference. So after that last day, we will be coming and brainstorming. So after that last day, we will invite the rest of you to come in, and we can discuss, analyze what do you think about that conference. Thank you for those of you in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving. Today is a Thanksgiving Day holiday. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you for watching Lagos State Media. We will see you back again later. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.
It's your boy, young I give him that thing. Punchal Lagos State, Punchal America. Banyi dual, ban Punchal Lagos State, Punchal America. Banyi dual, ban wo koji lake, kankaro watana wache. Oga level juir kwa ugara lake. Panda wadya Punchal America. Banyi dual bano, chingitongo pandon kujuera baya cheka. Watu panda juir wadya di dual. Panchi America, Panji Dual, Pan Legacy.